you have Donald Trump getting increasingly annoyed publicly at anyone suggesting he can't have Greenland. So there was a moment this week when it was put to him that the leader of Greenland actually was not very into Trump's plan and thought that it should stay with Denmark. And he replied, well, I don't even know him. I don't know who he is, so it doesn't matter. We're getting Greenland.
It's Rod Little on Times Radio, and the Times and Sunday Times Washington editor and chief Trump watcher Katy Balls joins me to chat about Iran, Greenland, Gaza, and that board of eternal and everlasting peace which Donald Trump has dreamed up. Katy, good afternoon to you. Lovely to have you with us. Iran. He takes some credit, I suppose, for that threat to Iran that if it executed the prisoners, there would be military action. Has that played well for him? And is there anything more that he's going to do we think?
Well, I think it's a bit of a wait and see on if he'll do any more. There's certainly a sense that it's still possible he intervenes at a later date. But if we think back to the beginnings of the week where it was, very high rhetoric, the president declaring help is coming, I think lots of people felt it was imminent and then it never came to pass. And of course, the administration will say, well, his interventions led to stopping some of these executions and that was a win in of itself. But also, if you think about his base, I think they are largely happy he has not gone further. You had figures such as Steve Bannon warning, MAGA isn't about make Iran great again.
No, it's interesting, isn't it? We were told that he'd been talking to people, all of whom advised him against doing anything whatsoever in Iran, including Benjamin Netanyahu and whoever runs Qatar these days.
Yeah, exactly. And I think from those meetings, perhaps it was more that than worries about domestic kickback. But there was a sense that they were saying this isn't so wise, that this is perhaps not going to get you where you want it to. And I also think there's a thing with Trump often, which is the more he says he might do something, sometimes the less he is going to, because his whole thing on foreign policy is often don't tell him what you're about to do. So I think those very public statements trying to warn the regime away from more killings and so forth, I think the initial aim was to try and stop the action, then take it from there. And for now, he thinks it's been successful. Now, if you have the situation in Iran develop further, you have mass executions. There's a question of what Donald Trump does then. But I think we need to get to that point.
Maybe he has been had his attention diverted by the allure of Greenland, because that's still on the agenda, isn't it?
Very much so, in the sense that it is very much in the conversation. And you have Donald Trump getting increasingly annoyed publicly at anyone suggesting he can't have Greenland. So there was a moment this week when it was put to him that the leader of Greenland actually was not very into Trump's plan and thought that it should stay with Denmark. And he replied, well, I don't even know him. I don't know who he is, so it doesn't matter. We're getting Greenland.
I'm sorry, one shouldn't laugh at this, but there is humour inherent, as well as misery and various other things in everything Donald Trump does, isn't there?
Yeah, whatever gets you through the day and the week is my mantra.
Yes, absolutely. But there's still a plan then. He still has it in his mind that Greenland is going to be his. Very
much so. And I think that it is a little bit confusing on Greenland because there are some in the administration who will say, oh, he's not that serious. And then you're, well, why does he keep saying it? Or they'll say, well, he's not going to invade it. The rhetoric is more to kind of bounce them into some agreement. Could it be shared government? Is there a security agreement? And so forth. But also for Donald Trump, I mean, he would love to have a legacy, which is expanding the map of America, which is what taking Greenland would do. I think that would put him, if you think about the presidents he has admired in the past, I think that would, again, confirm to him that he was greater than the recent ones that came before.
Yes, I'd rather he took over Ireland, but that's another issue, I suppose. Now, the Board of Eternal Peace and Happiness for Gaza, the Gaza Peace Board. Trump has named Tony Blair, someone with whom we're familiar, Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, and Marco Rubio to Gaza. No Keir Starmer. Do we know anything about that?
So it's an interesting one because, of course, there were reports, the Times and elsewhere, that Keir Starmer was being lined up for this. I think, there had been talk for some time that Tony Blair had initially been named for the board, but Trump had gone off this plan because some of the Middle East countries had objected. He was seen as more too pro-Israel in the mix. So there had been some concerns on that. Obviously, he's made it over the line. And I think what I find quite interesting looking at some of the names that are currently missing, and you could still have more names added to various boards, of course, is there's not really any European leaders. And we've just been speaking about Greenland. And I do slightly wonder, especially, yesterday Trump was threatening potentially putting tariffs on countries that aren't nice enough about his Greenland ambitions. Is it the case that he would want to reward these countries right now with some power or authority if he feels they're not being supportive enough of other plans? Just because across the board you're not seeing that right now. But I think there's still space to be added. And then, of course, there's questions as to, are we going to see parts of the board coming together at Davos next week, where Trump is going to be, the central guest. And we know Jared Kushner, for example, will also be in attendance.
Also seems to be a bit short of people with Arabic names, if I may say so, on the peace board. But what do I know? Now,
I think if we think about it, I'd just say, if we think about 2026 Trump, he was asked, what are the limits to his power? International law. He said, no. He said the only limit was himself. And he also suggested that America was going to run Venezuela. So I think that having a board which is mainly either his employees, his son-in-law, and, people who've known his son-in-law and him for a long time is quite fitting with the other things we are seeing from him.
Kylie Jenner, any chance, do you think she could get on it? I don't know. Kim Kardashian? What?
Give it time. See who's at Davos.
Yes, absolutely. Anyway, so we still don't know whether Sir Keir was asked or not asked, and never mind. You've been speaking to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, and this is in a big article for the Sunday Times. Did he say anything interesting? You better say yes, because otherwise people won't buy the paper.
Yeah, I could single-handedly bring down the Sunday Times. No, he was very interesting. It's a very interesting interview. It's the one-print interview that he is doing, so I think that's what they sometimes call an exclusive. And he talks about Greenland. He talks about the Chinese embassy. And the views on that. And he also talks about the fact he's addressing Parliament on Tuesday, the first sitting Speaker to do that in UK Parliament. And he talks about his friendship with Lindsay Hoyle. He said to me that Lindsay Hoyle reminded him of Winston Churchill, which was the first time I'd heard that.
Lindsay Hoyle. This is the same Lindsay Hoyle that we know, is it?
I will check the transcript before it goes to print, but I'm pretty certain.
Well, I
see, that's hooked you up to read it.
That I will definitely be turning straight to your interview
I'd also,
tomorrow.
there's one more thing. There's also some new details on Donald Trump's plan for gold in the White House ballroom and how that links to the state visit. So that's the final teaser I will give.
Right. Well, it sounds fascinating. It sounds absolutely fascinating, Katy, as you always are. That's Katy Balls, our Washington editor. Read her tomorrow for that interview with Mike Johnson, if nothing else, and Lindsay Hoyle being a bit like Winston Churchill. Joy unconfined.